Hello guys, and today I'm going to be talking about color schemes and Procreate and how to make color schemes for your characters. So this also goes like with a lot of color theory stuff when it comes to how to select the right colors for your characters. I like to make it partially based on the character's personality so that there's like a reason on why you picked a certain color and not just randomly picking a color because it looks cool. So I was making this character right here, and I was making colors, and you can see this looks pretty nice. Now I want to show a few things with the color wheel here, as far as why you pick these colors. So with complementary colors, these are colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel, as you can see. Now this color wheel is a little bit weird, like it's not perfect. For some reason, instead of the complementary of red being green here, it's like cyan. But it's not a big deal. I wonder if that has to do with the color profile. Not sure. I would have to test that out. But with complementary colors, these are colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel. Now, of course, you can change it from complementary mode, so you could have split complementary, which basically shows, instead of just from direct complementary, shows colors right next to the complementary color. So, for example, you can see red, so it shows green and blue here as split complementaries for red. Got analogous, so you have different colors that shows colors right next to the color you have selected. So red shows orange and then pink. You kind of play around with the color wheel and see, like, which color schemes could fit and by using these different modes. Also, just help you understand color theory better. And so when it comes to colors, for example, the color I picked for this character, you can see it's this dark red, then this gold kind of color, and then some white. Now, thing about white and also black is they can kind of go with any color since they're neutral, like they have no saturation. So, like if you were, for example, go in here, turn saturation on all the way down, brightness up, you get white. Then turn it down middle, it's gray, and then black. These colors can kind of go with any color because they have no saturation. For the most part, I mean, there's still some combinations you could make that would be an eyesore to look at and you wouldn't want to make. But white can kind of go with something, so I kind of picked that color to go with the dark red and the gold. You don't want too many colors at once because it makes your color schemes look chaotic. And then here's something you could also do. On the color layer, you could go to hue, saturation, and brightness adjustment, and you could change how the color looks so you could see how different combinations work. So, like, for example, this would work because you see it's like aquamarine, teal, and this blue. Now, as far as what character this is and what this is for, no, I would not pick this color. If you wanted something that was like, kind of like a water kind of theme, like a aquamarine tealish color with this blue. Maybe that would work with something like that that fits that theme. You could just adjust the sliders. You could change this. So like, I do like this. It's a slight adjusting. It's a slight adjustment from the default. So instead of being 50 default, I slid it down here, and I actually like how that looks. It turns that dark red into more of like a burgundy a little bit. Like, there's a slight difference in the red, and then also it makes it more of an orange rather than a gold. Of course, the white stays the same because white has no hue; it's no saturation to it. And stuff like this, you can just slide, adjust, and see how you like the colors. Now, the color on this side at 1% compared to at max is the colors are pretty much the same. But I really like this 47% around here, and to 44. You can also adjust the saturation, so you know, no saturation, pretty much grayscale, versus super saturation is like too much. I try not to go for too saturated because sometimes it makes the character just look too saturated and way too vibrant. Now, this is what you wanted. That's fine. It's like you see it turn that dark red into a lighter red. Um, like it's more saturated. So it's more red showing. Then you could also adjust the brightness. Nobody would want to do this. Would not recommend that. And then you can turn the brightness up like that. I wouldn't do that either. Even though it does look kind of cool, just white and gold, but that's not what I was going for. But you can see how you like adjust these sliders, and sometimes I play around with this to adjust the color schemes a little bit, and I find that I like something a little bit better with slight adjustment than how I had it before. So like I think this is pretty cool. Now, if you're also wondering why I have the background as gray, one, it's kind of bright, and so it's someone like me, either who sits in the dark or just it's really bright on the screen. I don't really like that. And then also, it's like with the colors, you can see the colors here, but notice how the character had white on it, so now it blends in with the background. So it almost looks like if your character has any white on it or something, it looks like it's just uncolored parts, when really it is white, but you can't tell the difference. So I like to just turn down the brightness a little bit on the background color so you can actually see the colors, particularly lighter colors better, so that you're not straining your eyes trying to see which color is which, or just so that you can see, because in this case, when I turned it all the way up, you couldn't tell that there was actually white on the character. Like, it looks like it might as well have been uncolored parts. So that's why I do that when it comes to character coloring and stuff like that. And like I said, it's just not as bright. Now, with color schemes, of course, like I mentioned earlier, I like to make the color schemes kind of match the personality of the character. So, like, this character, of course, I don't really know what the personality I want the character to be anyways. I have, like, a slight idea, but this is the stage where, you kind of write down some ideas for what you want the character's personality to be like, and then also the backstory, because backstory will also change, how the character looks. So, like, for example, why does this character have this mask, for example? Why does his armor look like this? Why does he have a sleeve on one side and not the other? Stuff like that. Things to think about. But that doesn't really have to do with what I'm talking about today with colors. Now, we go back to the harmony thing. We're gonna do a couple different color schemes in this video. So this is the one I designed before I started recording. So we're just gonna hide this one and make a new layer. This is also where you just do layer groups. It's a little more organized. Now, I'm gonna make another color scheme. We'll call it front color 2. So we'll go back to the color wheel, just the brightness, and maybe, just experiment with some colors. Also, when it comes to color schemes, you want to decide if your character's colors are going to be warm colors or cool colors. So, for example, red, yellow, and orange are all considered warm colors, okay? Green isn't really that warm, and it kind of goes from there to blue, and so mainly warm colors, red, yellow, orange, stuff like that, gold. Those are all warm colors. When it switches over to green, green's the cooler colors, cyan, teal, blue, all that, violet, pink. Pink starts to become, pink is like a warm color, but violet's still a cool color. Pink, when it's like a hot pink like this, that's considered a warm color. So for this character, I wanted it to be warm colors, so it automatically limits, it automatically limits what colors you're trying to use. Now, if you mix warm and cold colors, you gotta do it carefully, because if you do some random stuff, your character's gonna look like all over the place. When it comes to colors, like, for example, I'll make a quick eye soaring something that's not great to look at, real quick. And you also want to decide, like, your character's accent colors. So if they have certain Like, for example, this character, notice how in the previous color scheme, there was a lot of gold and stuff. Is kind of on like an accent color on specific parts, but not the main color. The main color was the red. So, oh, um, I'll make something that's really not good to look at. Okay, I'll ignore everything I just said about accent colors and stuff, and make something that's really bad to look at as an example. Here, we'll do. In this case, we're not even going to use the color wheel here, like for its purposes. We're just going to make some outlandish, weird color scheme that does not look good. Okay, for example, we have this, right? Making this example bad color scheme. I'll erase the colors outside the lines later. But here we're just gonna have this orange and green all over the place. Notice how green's like not a warm color, but it's also not super cool either. And when you start mixing these colors, like I said, you have to be careful, because if I start using like pink with this, okay, this is gonna start to look really wrong. So I'll stop talking, skip to when this color scheme's finished about now. Alright, and I'm back, and I finished this horrible color scheme. Now, I'll say this much. So, like, this color scheme would be good if you're trying to make something that's, like, chaotic, you know. Like, this would be a kind of cool color scheme for, like, putting it on. For example, if you wanted something like a car to have all this rainbow kind of crazy colors, it's supposed to be loose and stuff. Yeah, that's cool. For a character like this that's wearing armor and he's a swordsman, that would not fit for this character at all. Like, this guy would get clowned if you if you went into a battle with this on. Like, this just doesn't look right. You can see what I mean. Like, this doesn't look right. And if you're playing the hue, saturation, and brightness, oh boy, it just gets worse. Like this looks more acceptable. This right here looks more acceptable than this. But like when you play around with the color, you can see this kind of looks off. So if you decrease the saturation, maybe to make it less of an eyesore, maybe do something like this. It gives it more of a chaotic feel. But notice at certain slides, now you can see this looks like a mix of like desaturated warm colors, but also desaturated cool colors. This isn't horrible, but again, for this character, that would not fit. And I'm not trying to say that chaotic color schemes are bad. What I'm saying is it fits for specific things. This is not one of those things. This is not that kind of character. And you can see, just play around with the stuff. If you increase the saturation, it gets worse. Like, really bad. Like, but this is even more emphasized on the point I'm talking about, where it's like when you don't just increase the saturation of everything. I remember when I was like a beginner in editing videos, and I would like with all these videos and stuff, I would take the colors for like the saturation of the video and just turn it up to the max, and I would even increase the brightness sometimes. And it's just like, there's such thing as too much color. A little too much. Now, you can see also with this color scheme, notice how there's an accent color. Orange acts as the accent color for different parts of the armor, but you can see it's like not the main color. The main color's red and the white, but the accent color is the orange. Now take note of that. You switch to this, there's no accent color going on. There's no theme, like when it comes to the kind of colors being used, warm versus cool colors. There's too much going on. And like I said, this is cool for something chaotic or something you purposely want to look like this. A character is probably not going to be one of those things that you would want to look like this with the color scheme. Some of the things that make a good color scheme, main things that make a good color scheme, one, having some kind of accent color where it's not too chaotic, colors aren't all over the place, but having an accent color. Two, having maybe a main color or maybe a couple of them Like for example, this red and white with the yellow, and you can see the color wheel to back these colors up. Go to the color wheel real quick. I'll just increase the brightness so you can see it better. So like analogous, for example, you can see the red, and I'm increasing the brightness specifically so you can see it better, not to talk about. The brightness has nothing to do with the color scheme. The actual brightness is like much lower, but you can see for red, you have, and now for analogous, you have red color, then you have yellow. So you can see red and yellow kind of next to each other, and then also red and pinkish, like orange red. And you kind of play around with this. So the closer you move up and stuff, and the colors are going to change. But you can see how yellow goes with red, right? So those are both warm colors. Take note of that also. So that also helps them go together better. And then white, like I said earlier, is a neutral color. So it can pretty much go with anything, but also you'd have to use it right. You don't want to just splash white all over the place and make something else that's super chaotic. So we're going to make another color scheme properly this time. So just so you can see the examples, this was the first one, and this was the second one, which I do not recommend you do this for a character. I would not recommend that, as I've already explained why. And so we're going to make another color scheme. So we'll call this front color 3. So yeah, first color, second color, and then the third color that we're about to do. Third color scheme that we're going to do. So let's say we'll go for some cooler colors this time. Alright, some cooler, darker colors. And when I say cooler, I don't mean cooler as in like super cool, like you're looking cool. No, when I say cooler, I mean temperature, cooler in temperature. So we could pick a few colors. I'll go with split complementary because, of course, if you have a cool color or a warm color, the opposite is always going to be the opposite of what color it is. So, for example, if you do complementary, obviously the complementary of blue on this wheel is orange, which it should be. So you can see blue is cool color, orange is a warm color. They're complementary, but complementary colors actually go together well. You just have to use them right. And remember the point earlier that I mentioned about having an accent color is really important. Because as demonstrated in the previous color scheme, there's no kind of formality with the colors. It was all over the place. And like I said, that fits for certain things, but not this. Now, we'll start with a bluish kind of color. And we'll take note of the complementary, but we'll go to split complementary. And I really like that they put this color wheel in Procreate. Playing with the complementary, split complementary, all those different modes. Split complementary colors also go together well. So, for example, blue and red do go together well if you use them right. I wouldn't just say clash blue and red together, but I would say you could use a little bit of red with blue, maybe you darken the red a little bit to make it so that it's not interfering with the blue's look. So, for example, well, I'll show an example. We'll decrease saturation a little bit and the brightness a little bit. So we'll have blue as the main color, one of the main colors, okay? So we'll have blue for here, for some of here. Now, we'll go back to the color wheel. Remember, split complementary. And so you see split complementary blue, red, and yellow. It's yellowish green. Slightly adjust this, okay? Now, blue and yellow go really good together. Blue and red also go together. Because I already used yellow in the previous color scheme, we're gonna go with red, right? So, if you were to just clash blue and red like this, okay, one's not the right shade of red I want, but also it looks like it's a little much with the blue. So what we're gonna do, one, we're gonna desaturate it so it's not as like warm, just clashing with the blue like that in the same color scheme. So we're gonna desaturate it, but we're also going to reduce its brightness. Now this red will act as a accent color, but notice it's a dark, kind of burgundy red. Not the same red as what we used previously for the other color scheme, but a similar kind of dark red. So this is an accent color. It's going to be in some of the details. See on the spikes on the shoulder pad, that'll be part of where the red is. Crest on the mask also have this red. Again, when I'm doing rough color schemes, I'll just purposely color outside the lines and erase them later. So you can see this red is on some things, but blue is still the main color. But notice how it's easier for the red to go with the blue when it's more desaturated and darkened. So its warmth isn't as conflicting with the blue as it would be when it's just red at full brightness. With blue, it kind of clashes the colors a little too much. Red is kind of an accent color on some of the details. And then we'll pick a third color. Now we'll color pick the blue again. Split complementary of this blue, yellow, red. Well, we're going to change it from split complementary. We'll see what the analogous colors are. So you got violet, purplish right here. And you also got this cyan kind of color. You got triadic. You got this green. You got also red, but that's for the violet. We'll change the blue. You still got green, and you got this pinkish color. But if you do tetradic, it's tetradic. Alright, so you see you got this green, orangish, and this pinkish. Now, to help the red, so it's not as clashy, we'll add a little bit of an orange. But we're going to adjust this orange a little bit. I don't want it to just be orange. I want it to be a little bit more closer to yellow, actually. And then we'll adjust the value from here. Make it a little bit darker, but I don't want it to be that green. So, we'll have this yellow help the red. So, yellow's also a warm color. But yellow also goes with blue. So, we can add yellow to some parts like this. So, you can see the color scheme goes from 2 colors to 3 colors. That gives it even a little bit more variety. So, you can even have yellow as part of some of the details. But notice how we were able to make this blue work with warm colors, even though blue is a cool color. Add some yellow here, and you can slowly see this starting to come together. Add some yellow there, but I want to add a 4th color because you see, it's just a little. You just need something else to help. So I'm thinking potentially a neutral color. So something like white. No saturation. I don't just want to use white. I might go for a gray. Or something that's actually really desaturated. But I'll play with the color wheel some more. So we'll take this yellow. We'll go back to complementary. Complementary, yellow, blue. I'm thinking we can have potentially a little bit of violet and purple help. So you do split complementary with purple, C, yellow. So purple would actually work. You just adjust this a little bit. My throat's starting to be sore. I think I'm talking too much. It's kind of weird because it's not usually like that, but I don't know. So we'll take this purple, slide it down a little bit, and see how this works. Now, because purple goes with yellow, yellow goes with blue, theoretically, purple can fit in this color scheme. So we'll try it out. If you don't like it, it's okay, we can change it. I really do like to make it so the colors of the characters emphasize their personality and their backstory and why they are the way they are. Not just pick some random colors. And I'll show you guys an example in a bit after I finish erasing these strokes of what I mean on character that has a color scheme that just doesn't fit. Because I made one of the color schemes that I made a color scheme for a character that didn't fit that character. I ended up not using it because it didn't fit that character. Didn't fit the personality, didn't fit the backstory. I'll show you guys in a second. But even though this is the colors I'm picking for this character definitely aren't going to be used. Let's talk about what these colors may mean for this character. So, like, a lot of cool colors here. Okay, we got a lot of cool colors, but we also got a balance. We got cool colors and warm colors. So, let's say, because there's a lot more cooler colors dominating the warm colors, I could say this could be like a chill kind of character. But also, there's some accent colors of some warm colors, which is fine as well. But you can see this color scheme looks pretty nice. Again, not going to be used, but it's an example. So we started with this, okay? And we went from that to that, and from that to that. Now, these are all different color schemes. Of course, we can play around to use saturation brightness if you want to. Change it, see how this would look. And this is a good way to tell if you have a good color scheme, is if when you play around the slider, you find other good color schemes as well from changing the hue. I really like this one. You got the green, the purple, like the really dark bluish purple, and then you got the pink that also is pink, if I'm not mistaken. It's split complementary of green. As red as the complementary of green. I can check. So hold on. Cancel this. I'll duplicate this real quick. Name it to front color 4. So, I'll check right now. This is a good color scheme. So, we can check the wheel real quick. If we go select this green. Because it also, you see, it has a dark green and then a lighter green. Then it has that purple. So, if we go split complementary, indeed, pink is a split complementary of green. You brighten it so you can see it better. Green, pink. So when you play around the slider, sometimes you may find things like this, or alternate versions of color scheme you may have thought of, and actually be a different color scheme. And you'll be like, wow. And that's how you know you have a good color scheme, is if we could find other good color schemes by playing around and tinkering with the hue of the color scheme that you just made. So this is a pretty good color scheme. Now let me show you guys the example I was talking about when it came to color scheme that just doesn't match. Alright guys, so I hope this video helped you understood more about character color schemes and how they work and how to make your own color schemes by taking notes of some of the things I said. So, just a quick recap. Complementary colors and split complementary colors actually go together pretty well. You just have to mix them right. Don't forget accent colors, so you don't want two colors just taking over everything all over the place. So like this color scheme, too chaotic. Now, like I said, chaotic can be good for certain things if that's what you're trying to do, but for a character like this, no. Then you can see in this color scheme how I took warm colors and cool colors and actually mixed them together. I made it work because I desaturated the brightness. I desaturated the warm colors and slid their brightness down so it's not too bright, so it's not like the red or the yellow is clashing with the blue and purple. And then playing around with the hue, saturation, and brightness sliders, you could find other color schemes out of a color scheme you made already. I really like this one because split complementary of green is pink. And you could see the pink with the dark purple, and then the darker green with the lighter green. It's a really good color scheme. So I hope this video helped anyone like wanting to know more about color schemes or how to make color schemes for their characters. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.